Hello, Zach Yelton here, Coastal Shores Landscape. Thanks so much for watching our December 2020 newsletter video. I cannot believe it's already the last month of 2020. Many of us are probably glad to see the year go with all that we've all been through this year. But as we welcome in this holiday season, it is a time to reflect and be thankful for what we do have. Look around us, our families. A lot of times when you're going through something, you look around you and see who's next to you, and be thankful for that. So we all have many things I think we can be thankful for and count our blessings. So we've done that here. One of the things we're thankful for is our team, and we're thankful for good health and the ability just to continue working through this year. Many industries have been affected by the pandemic that we've been going through, the COVID pandemic, but we've been so fortunate, for the most part, to continue our work here in the landscaping, and working outside is one of the reasons we've been able to do that. And it's days like this and times like this where it's sunshine and blue skies that it's really nice to do that. So some of the rhythms we're going through right now in the landscape, I wanted to update you on. We are still working and training with our teams. We do this weekly. Notifying them of issues to be aware of as the seasons change, and I want to share a few of those with you today. If you were able to watch last month's newsletter, we talked a lot about irrigation. In fact, we've been talking about that as we come into the fall season here, and even now into the winter. In established landscapes, this time of year, you want to look to be shutting your irrigation off. We don't have ground temperatures here that freeze quite enough for us to have to completely eliminate water in the lines like you would in northern parts of the country. But at least with our irrigation clocks, you want to be looked to cutting those off right now, except for certain areas that have new plants, new pots, maybe some areas where you've done some bedding plants for the season. And then, of course, if you've got a new landscape, turf and plants that have been recently installed will still need some regular water. So look to be keeping that on for at least 1 to 2 days a week. But we've been blessed with some good rain. Some of these tropical systems that have come through have brought some good rainfall. So save your water bill, and cut your irrigation off. And as we go forward, we are going to be seeing some frost here. We expect our first frost this month. Usually in late November or first part of December, we see our first frost. We haven't had that yet. We've been so mild so far this year, but just keep that in mind. I mean, temperatures don't have to reach 32 degrees to have a frost. You can have a frost with temperatures in the high 30s to even low 40s if the conditions are right. So pay attention to your weather forecast. If you've got plants that are sensitive out there, be looking to cover those up or even bring them indoors for the winter. If you've got a porch or a patio that's sunshiny and bright, maybe, but it's covered, those are good things to do. You can get some residual warmth from the house all winter long by just keeping that plant a little closer to the house. You can prevent it from getting the winter damage. And then if it's in the ground, certain palms and certain tropical plants can benefit from actually covering them. There's a lot of great covers out there that you can buy at your local hardware store or box store, but you know, just a good thick blanket would work too, just keeping that frost off of there. If you've got more questions about that, let us know, and we're happy to talk about what needs to be done and not. The other thing I wanted to mention, as we get cooler here, the soil temperatures are dropping, and our perennials and plants, they all feel that in the ground. So we live in an area of the country where we can grow plants year-round pretty well, but we do have a true winter season that'll shut it down, and some of those tender perennials may not make it all the way through the winter. The winter like we had last year was so mild that we were able to get some of our plants, such as plumbago and even lantana in a few places that were protected. Some of those made it all the way through the winter without us having to really cut them back. But this year we're seeing temperatures drop and soil temperatures are lower. So you can expect to see some of those perennials start to be a little off color. Their leaves will lose their green color. Some of the leaves may drop. In most cases, this is nothing wrong with your plant. This is just a natural way a perennial plant behaves. If you have any specific concerns, please don't be afraid to let us know. Send us a picture. I'm happy to respond by email or even come out and look. But as our guys are seeing this, they know which plants to identify and to cut back, and the right time to do that. Typically, we want to have a frost before we go and cut those things back. And after we cut them back, it's a good idea to mulch or just have a good layer of mulch or pine straw around your plants to protect them throughout the winter. And then, of course, we can expect them to reemerge in the spring. Last thing I want to mention is crepe myrtles. We get a lot of questions about crepe myrtles this time of year. Crepe myrtles, we enjoy those all summer with their long bloom season. As we get into the winter season, we would look to cut back those crepe myrtles, at least the younger ones. We would look to cut back for structural reasons and look to shape those in a proper way. The older ones, if you've got an old, mature, tall crepe myrtle tree, we're not going to be cutting those back or chopping them down to 6 or 8 feet like you may see in other areas of landscapes. We want to look instead to thin those out and prune them for structure only. So we'll look to raise their canopies and thin those out. So that's what you can expect with the larger crepe myrtles. If you've got one that's closer to a house or a building, we'll look to be getting that off of that building rather than try to cut it down to keep it below. Crepe myrtles are trees and they want to grow as such. So remember that as you go forward into the season. We won't be cutting them back in December. We'll be looking to do that in January and February. That's the proper time to do it once they fully shut down for the year. So again, we welcome your questions, comments. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas.